Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, my sons and daughters. Today, inshallah, we will present the chapter 5 as titled with Strategic Capacity Planning for Products and Services as production for the second year. Dr. Esrar will be with you. And chapter 5 here, the capacity planning, the first one which is needed to understand what do you mean by this strategic planning of capacity. Capacity here, it means that in case of we needed to use all the resources available inside the company, regardless of its equipment, spaces, employee skills, and machines, and raw material, and any other type of resources used to produce the maximum number of units needed inside this type of factory. So you will find that the capacity here is the upper limit. The upper limit, it means the maximum number of units needed to produce. Okay, according to all the resources available, like it's given here, equipment, space, or employee skills. There is a certain goal or a certain target for this strategic capacity planning. Here you needed to understand, we needed to produce a certain amount of units, which is not more than the market needs or lower than the market needs. According to these two types of concepts, over capacity or under capacity. Over capacity, it means that in case of the market needs 100, but the factory produces 150, this means that the cost of this production will be more than the market needs. Under capacity, here there is another type of problems. In case of the company can produce 100, although the market needs 80 units only. So here, there is numbers of customers will be lost because we cannot match with the market needs as the level of the capacity required. According to this type of capacity, this type of capacity planning, it will be answered about three types of questions given like here in this page. Capacity planning can answer about what kind of capacity is needed. What about the number of units? What about the maximum number of units needed to produce? And how much this capacity is needed to match the demand? The maximum number of these units needed to produce should be matching with the demand requires as the forecasting done already inside the market. And when it's needed, and this is needs to be scheduled, because this type of factory needs to produce a certain number of units according to this forecasting demand, and we needed to present it inside the markets according to a certain time. So we needed to build this schedule for matching with this type of production. Capacity planning already can be included different type of decisions like to what extent this type of company can produce a certain number of units which can meet and cover the future demand. This will be identified and has a certain impact for the operations cost. And this needed first to prepare or to estimate the initial cost in the first time to be covered from the financial departments. And also we needed to present a certain products with a certain type of level of quality, and because there is competitiveness inside this markets, we needed to compete our competitors and provide a certain product which is matching with the customer's needs. And a certain type because this type of production today, it's not presenting its units inside the local markets, but we needed to export our products. So the complex inside the factories today because of the globalization, and we needed to provide all these type of resources based on to what extent this type of financial departments can provide this type of financial resources to provide all the resources needed at the time needed. Capacity here as a concept is classified into three concepts or three levels here, like here. In the first time, you will find that three types of levels of the capacity: design capacity, effective capacity, or actual outputs. The differentiation between these type of three concepts, here we will start first with the design. Design at the first time, it means that what about the maximum number of units needed to produce in the natural conditions. But here, in case of the effective capacity, Effective capacity, it means that we needed to transfer this design of the units needed, say in case of the company needs to produce 1,000 units. I can explain it using the board to differentiate between these three types of concept like here. In case of talking about the design in the first time, design, and the second, which is effective here, yes. And the third will be as actual. Okay, this is the three types of this capacity. In the first time, this design means that there is two different type of resources. Okay, resources available. Okay, we needed using this type of resources to produce the maximum number of units. Assume that the maximum number of units maybe there are 1,000 units needed to produce as the maximum numbers. Okay. To transfer this design to be as effective, here, through processing, effective it means that through processing, you will find that some of the problems may be done. What about this, like here, the design capacity minus allowances? What about these allowances? Maybe there is different type of problems, maybe done through processing, like we said here. These problems may be absent, the absent numbers of employee, maybe, and maybe breakdown of number of machines, breakdown of machines, or maybe delaying the raw material, okay, the raw material, okay, and here you'll find that absent number of labor, or maybe a certain machines needed to maintenance because of the breakdown, or maybe because the delaying time of receiving the raw material. All of them may be done through processing. Okay, so this type of numbers, or the standard numbers, through processing, because all of these type of problems. So I will not reduce 1,000. Maybe I can reduce, say, 910 units. Okay. So in the first time, the design here, the maximum number of units needed to produce. According to processing system, maybe this type of problems may be done. Not all these problems may be done at one time. We can say any one of these type of problems done. So we cannot produce all these 1,000 units. So the final products here, according to effective capacity, maybe I can need to produce 910 units. As the final products here, actually, it means that this process is done and is finished, and here we are talking about the final product or the output. This will be the actual design. The final products or the finished goods that can be produced. Say we will find that because of a certain type of problems may be achieved here, like defects. So not all the units can be reduced, like here 910. Not all of them will be as finished good ready to sell, because there is number of units according to sorting the products, and based on the inspections of this production after finished, we will find number of these units may be as defect. So in case of the defect units, say 10 units, so the units ready to sell will be 910 minus 10 will be 900. So what about this here? There is a relationship between these three types of capacity measurements. You will find that the effective capacity is lower than the design, and actual capacity is lower than effective. So effective is greater than design. Is greater? Yes, this is right? No, it's lower. So effective capacity is lower than design, but it's more than actual. And actual capacity will be lower than effective and design. So this relationship can be explained according to the next page. And we can use this, we can depend on this type of data. I'm sorry, we can return back again to the, yes. What about of this type of measurements? Yeah, we needed to use this type of data for measuring the actual, the design, and the efficiency. How we can use this type of relationship between the types of capacity for measuring the effectiveness. Okay, we can depend on the design, on effectiveness, and the actual capacity for measuring this type of capacity. Measuring capacity here, it means that to measure one of them efficiency, or the second is utilization. So we can say we can depend on two measures like efficiency and utilization to measure the capacity. And according to this type of data here in the board, you will find efficiency. In case of you needed that to measure efficiency, it means that actual output over the effective capacity. And in case of you needed to measure the utilization for benefits of the all resources given, the utilization will be equal the actual output over design capacity. So please take care about there is a certain common factors between these two types of measurements, which is actual outputs. We are starting these equations of the efficiency and the utilization using the actual output. Okay, and then we can present a certain example which can refers to what about this data needed to use for based on the design, effective, and actual. We can use this type of three information for measuring the two types of capacity by using the first indicator, efficiency, and the second using the utilization. And according to this very simple example here, assume that the design capacity is 50 trucks. In case of this type of company, it depends on a certain transportation modes to transport the products from the warehouse to be inside the market. Design capacity here is 50 trucks per day, and assume that the effective capacity is 40 trucks used per day, but the actual output is 36 trucks per day. So according to this type of two measurements, to measure the efficiency, you will find the actual. Do you understand the meaning here? Actual output. I'm starting with 36, and in the second equation with 36. To measure efficiency, you will divide over effective. Okay, so what about this effective, which is equal 40? And what about for the utilization will be over the design. The design is 50. The results here refers to that this company can benefit already. Utilization refers to what extent this company can benefit from its resources. You will find the utilization refers to this company can benefit from 72% from all its resources, and then 28, which refers to 1 over 100 minus 72% refers to 28% refers to this is a type of unutilized or resources or unused resources. Based on this type of data, now we can present different type of factors yes, as a determinant for achieving this effective capacity. Each factor inside all the resources inside the company, like say product services factors, process human resources according to their skills and qualified to manage the system of processing. The maybe policies factors in case of we are depending on imported the raw material from outside of the country, or maybe external factors like the competition inside the markets, like the seasonality of these products required, or any type of this type of factors has a certain impact. Capacity strategies. Three types of these strategies related to the concept of capacity. Here you will find that three types of this data like leading or following or tracking. There is differentiation between these three types of concepts. Like here you will find leading, it means we needed to build the capacity in anticipation of future demand. What do you mean by this building capacity? Building capacity, it means that we needed to make to stock. Making to stock, and then maybe according to our expectations, maybe the orders will be increased in the next time. What about for the second following? The following here, second strategy, means that build capacity when demand exceeds current capacity. Yeah, in case of the demand rates for the next week, say is 100 units, but there is expectation about maybe it will be increased till 120. So the company will start to make its plan, its capacity for producing 120 to match with the current capacity needed in the next week or in the next time. Tracking is like the following, but here at the capacity in relatively small increments. This means that we will not produce a large number of units, but maybe we can produce them according to a certain time, and this time maybe say day by day we can increase limit time of these units, and then at the end of this schedule you will find, yes, we are producing large number of units. Okay, incrementally means that small units produce day, etc. the number of needed of the markets, and then at the end of this time we will find we have a stock from this type of products. The next one also steps in capacity planning. Capacity planning, like any types of the strategy inside the company, it needs first to understand to start to plan for this capacity or to produce the maximum number of units needed inside the markets to benefit from all our resources, like we said in the first time of the lecture. And here we needed to understand what about the capacity requirements, what about the number of machines needed, what about the number of labor required, what about the amount of raw material needed to receive it from the suppliers. And here you will find that all this type of requirements needed to collect it again first, and then evaluating what about our requirements available already. In case of inside the warehouse, there is a certain number of items from certain items needed to buy. So before buying, we have to return back the inventory to be sure that all the needed of the items, some of them is available, or we needed to buy all of them. Conduct financial analysis from where or how this company can cover this financial resources to finance all these resources needed for buying. Assessing the key qualitative issues and alternative. There is no company which can provide one plan, but there is alternative planning, and here we needed to prepare more than one alternative planning, and then we can choose the better one, matching with the requirements available in the company, and we will track this type of plan through time of implementing, and in case of there is something which is needed to change, we can do it by monitoring these results of implementing the capacity planning. According to this type of title, forecasting capacity requirements. Here there is a certain data needed to be focused. Okay, forecasting capacity requirements. Here, the company needed to understand what about these requirements according, say, to the machines. For this type of page, you will find that forecasting capacity requirements, according to this type of question here, how many machines which department needed to purchase. The requirements for the capacity machines is one of them. The number of labor is one of them. The volume of the raw material is one of this type of requirements for capacity planning. Okay, and here for this type of questions is concentrated about what about the number of machines needed to start to produce this type of product. Here in the first, you will find that I will start first to present the example, and then I will explain what about these factors which are written in the first part of this page. Here you will find that assume that the department works 1 8-hour shift. What do you mean by this? This means that this type of department works 1 shift, 8 hours. Okay. But in case of saying that this type of department, assume that this department works 2 7-hour shifts. What do you mean by this? This type of department works 2 shifts, 7 hours. Okay. And then the total number of days working, which is equal to 250 days working yearly, and the processing requirements are like here. Inside the problem, in case of this type of problem given, so you will find that the given problem is only having the first 3 columns in the exam, in case one of this problem given. So what about this data given here? the types of product. Here, in case of assume that this company can produce 3 types of products, 1, 2, and 3. And what about this annual demand forecasting? And according to this data, you will find that so that the annual demand may be 400 units from type 1 and 300 units from type 2 and 700 units from type 3. And the given data also, which is the standard processing time per unit. Here it's measured with hours. This means that this type of data refers to 1 unit from this product, from type 1 product, can need 5 hours to complete, and 1 unit from product 2 can need 8 hours to finish, and 1 unit from type 2 product can need 2 hours to complete. This is only the data given. What about the number of shifts, the number of hours, the number of days working yearly, and then the first 3 columns, product, annual demand forecasting, and the time processing as estimations. Okay, and then the question here is how many machines which department needed to purchase. For this type of reason, we will return back to the first step to answer these questions is you needed times the number of units needed to produce as forecasting times the standard time processing per hours like measured here. So 400 times 5 equal 2,000. 300 times 8 will be 2,400, and 700 times 2 will be 1,400. Okay, this means that the starting point solve this problem in you will start for completing this table to prepare column number 4 as the starting point solve the problem, and writing its title is processing time needed per hours like written here, and you will find the summation for this column 2,000 plus 2,400 plus 1,400. The total will be 5,800 hours. Okay, per machine needed. And here, okay, you will find that the solution for this problem in the first time is calculating the annual capacity of machine. How we can find this number of the annual capacity of machines? I will return back to the previous page. What about this? The first statement here in this problem says that assume that the department works 1 8-hour shift. Okay, so you will find that this department works 1 shift 1 times this shift needed to work 8 hours times 8 times number of working per days yearly times 250. Do you understand the meaning here? According to the next page, you will find, yes, the number of shift here, like here, according to the mouse, yes, the number of shift is 1 shift times the number of hours per shift, which is 8 hours according to given data per day, and times the number of days working yearly, which is equal to 250 days per year. For this type of the time 1 times 8 times 250, the total will be 2,000 hours per machine. This refers to that each machine can work 2,000, its capacity for working is 2,000 hours for each machine. And according to the last page, what about the total processing needed to work as a total number of all these units, which is equal to 5,800 hours. This is the total numbers of hours needed to produce. Okay, so the number of machines needed to handle the required volume is, you will divide the processing time needed, the summation of the processing time needed according to this previous table, 5,800, yes, 5,800, over, like here, over the capacity per machine. The capacity per machine here equal 2,000, okay, like we are calculating in the first part, okay, and then will be 2.9 machines. You have to round it to be as 3. Regardless of this decimal, you have to round it to the next integer numbers. This means that in case 2.0001 will be rounded to be as 3. Because in case of we will need it any time from the third machine, so we have to buy 3 machines. Now I'm answering about the first question, which is how many machines which department needed to purchase. And according to this data given, we can understand that the number of machines required is 3 machines. I will return back to the first part of this page, the forecasting capacity requirements. These requirements already are given here in the table. How? Okay, the first one, yeah, there is annual demand forecasting. Yes, this is given. Accurate demand forecasting for each product, like here, okay? And the second, this type of data in the third column here, standard processing time. Yeah, the standard processing time per unit, okay, for each product on each alternate machines, okay? And the number of the work days per year, the number of work days per year is 250. It's not a constant numbers, but I needed to say that all these factors needed as requirements or as dimensions needed to forecast the capacity requirements, all of them already they are given in the example here. And the number of shifts here, yes, this type of company works one shift. So, according to all these data given, this will be requirements needed to forecast the capacity. So as the conclusion for this type of problem, you can say, I needed the forecasting demand for each one of the products. I needed to estimate the standard processing time, measuring with minutes, with hours. And I needed to understand what about the number of shifts work inside this type of department, and each shift, what about the number of hours working, and what about the number of days working per year. Okay. The second point here, another type of data needed in case of we needed to understand what about the relationship between the volume, the capacity, it means that the maximum capacity needed to produce as a volume measurement. And at the same time, here in the second part, which is amount. This title here is cost volume relations. Cost volume relations, it means that we needed to understand or we needed to measure the break-even points for this type of company. For calculating or for determining this type of break-even points for a certain type of product, because this type of break-even point will be prepared for each one of product. In case of a company produce more than one type of product, it should prepare more than one type of this cost volume relations for each type of its product. The second, this type of figure which can refers to two axes. The first here, which is horizontal one, refers to the volumes in units, or the quantity needed to produce. It starts from 0 till the last units here. The vertical lines here refers to the amounts of dollars. It means the cost and the total cost of production and the revenue based on selling this type of products. In the first time, you will find that two lines which are using here to refers to this type of line or straight line, which starts from 0 here. It means that each one of product will be produced according to the assumption we needed it will be sold. This is one of the main assumptions for the cost volume relations. So this type of line starts from 0, and starting from unit 1, any units will be reduced. Any units, like here, any units will be reduced, increasing. You will find that the revenue or the total revenue will be increased. Okay, and at the same time, what about for the cost? The cost here refers to that two types of cost here: the fixed cost and the variable cost. The first time here, in case of we can find a certain, okay, we can find a certain line here, okay. You will find that this will be as a fixed cost, okay. And what about the gaps between? Yes, what about the gap, the fixed cost here? Yes. And what about the range between this type of fixed cost and the total cost? You will find that this will be as the variable cost, okay. The total cost here will be refers to that. Okay, I can return back to draw it to be more clear. You will find here, yes, this will be as the fixed cost. Okay, and here you will find that this will be as a total cost for this production. And in case of this type of line, which is volume, or the quantity needed to produce using units, okay, and this will be as the total the cost for the revenue, the cost, and revenue. Okay, will be measured using dollars, and this is the volume, and the quantities will be measured using units. Okay, this is the first. In case of this type of company needed to produce, you will find that all increasing the number of units, 1, 2, 3, 4, till the last one will be 100 units. Okay, increasing this number of units, this means that the first is the fixed cost is constant. From the fixed cost is constant regardless of the number of units produced. This is the first. The second is this is line of the total cost, which refers to between this type of all these type of gaps between the fixed cost and the line of the total cost will be variable cost. And according to this, you will find that increasing the number of units, increasing the cost, the variable cost. And the summation between the fixed cost and the variable cost will be the total cost. This is the first. And in the second, you will find that I needed to draw this line of... okay, what about this line? This line is the revenue, the total, or the revenue, okay. The revenue here, the revenue, okay, as a total. Okay, what happened here? The revenue here refers to that any units will be start to produce according to the assumption of break-even point. It will be, the revenue will be increased. The revenue will be increased. What happened here? There is intersection point between, what about for this intersection point? The intersection point here means that this point will be refers to break-even point. What about for this break-even point? Break-even point refers to that. What happened before the break-even point? What happened before? What happened at? And what happened after this type of project? Okay. So before this type of break-even point, you will find that any units produced, you will find that the line of the total cost is above the revenue. So all these units refers to loss. Okay. Till this units. In case of this will be 50. Okay. So till the units of 49, all the units produced will be under the loss region. Okay. And at the units of 50, no unit have no loss, no profits, because in case of the total cost and the total revenue. Okay, in case of this number is 100,000 and the total revenue is $100,000. So the subtraction from them will be 0. This means that at this point, break-even point, you will find that all the units produced at this type of 50 units, will have no loss, no profits, because the subtraction between the total cost minus the total revenue will be equal 0. What happened after this type of points of break-even point? You will find that any units will be produced after point 51. Any units will be produced after the number of units, which is 50, will be under the region of profits. Here, profits. Because this type of line, total revenue, is above the line of total cost. So the company here, how benefit from all this type of break-even point or the cost-volume relations, like here given in the board, you will find that the company or the operations managers needed to understand what number will be can be produced without achieving profits. But all the units produced according to this before this line of break-even point, it will be under loss. We needed to understand after what number of units this company can produce with profits. Okay. According to this type of data, here you'll find that we needed to understand what about these assumptions needed to apply for this type of information. You will find that in the first, one product is involved. So, like we said from this, in case of this company produce 1, 2, 3 types of products, 3 types of products, okay, of products. So, one of the assumptions is that it should prepare three types of this break-even point. So it should prepare one break-even point for each one type of product. The second, everything produced can be sold. Like we said also from minutes here, from after zero, here zero it means that no units produced. Like starting from unit 1, here the revenue will be started. The revenue will be started to achieve. Okay, from point number 1, the revenue will be achieved. What do you mean by this? Revenue will be achieved. This means in the unit 1 will be produced and will be ready to sell. Variable cost per unit. The variable cost per unit, this means that yes, the variable cost per unit here, like here, you will find that it's changed based on the variable cost per unit is the variable cost per unit is the same regardless of the volume. No, the variable cost is changed. It's not the same. Is not the same here. Yes, is not. Yeah, is not the same regardless of the volume, and this means that it will be changed. Yes, it will be changed according. Yes, it will be changed according from the word of variable. This means that increasing the number of units, increasing the variable cost needed. Okay, and the fixed cost don't change with the volume. Yes, okay, already this type of cost is constant. Okay, regardless of the units here, which is regardless of the units here, it's constant regardless of the units produced. Revenue per unit is constant with volume. Yes, we can assume that any units will be reduced. It's a price per unit. It's a price per unit. Say, yeah, as assuming $10 per unit. Okay, this will be used for all these production units, and revenue per unit exceeds the variable cost per unit. One of the main points for these assumptions for achieving a certain profit here is the price per unit should be greater than the variable cost per unit. This refers to all the assumptions needed, and the variable cost increased with increasing the units. The fixed cost is constant regardless of the units. Okay. Here, the variable cost per unit. The variable cost per unit is lower than the price per unit, and at the same time, preparing more than one type of this break-even point. In case of this company, can produce more than one type of the product, and everything should be produced, or everything may be produced and will be ready to sell. Here you will find that a certain example here according to the calculating the break-even point. Calculating the break-even point, here we can calculate the break-even point using two measurements here. Assume this type of data like given in the report now as an example. You will find that what happened here. Yes. Assume that the fixed cost is $60,000. and the gross profit margin is 90%, and the sales price per unit is $40, and the variable cost is per unit is $15 per unit. Take care here about in the price per unit is greater than the variable cost per unit according to this type of data. And what about the fixed cost, which is this number, and the gross profit margins may be 90%. Okay. Calculate your break-even points as dollars in one time and as units in the second time. How calculating them? According to this data given here, yes, you will find that I needed, like here, yes, I needed to calculate the break-even point one time based on as dollars, and the second as units. Okay. Okay. Based on data given, use the formula to calculate your break-even point as dollars. As dollars here, you may find that the first here is, the break-even point equal the break, like here, the break-even point equal, the fixed cost over the gross profit margin. What do you mean by this? Okay, I will. Yes. Yeah. What about the fixed profit margin as percent, which is 90%? What do you mean by this? This will be equal 66.66 dollars. What do you mean by this? Here it will be refers to that. Look at the board now. Okay. And the break-even point, break-even point. And this is volume. The volume. Now, we needed, this is dollars, cost, and revenue. Okay. We can calculate, what about the cost and what about the total revenue at the break-even point here? This means that we needed that to calculate the break-even point as dollars. What happened here by using these equations, by dividing the fixed cost over the gross profit margin as a percent here, you will find this point refers to, this numbers refers, $6.666. Do you understand the meaning here? Means that I will assume that the total cost is 6.666. I can assume that the total revenue will be the same numbers, okay? 66.66. What do you mean by this? This point refers to that in case of the total cost is the same with the total revenue. So this number like here, you will find that the results break-even point, revenue minus revenue and the total cost equals 66.6. This means that the subtraction between them will be equal 0, no profits, no loss. Yes, according to this data written here, at this point, no loss, no profits. Okay, and this number is refers to the total cost and refers to the total revenue. The subtraction between these two numbers minus the same number, and here as total cost minus the total revenue. The results will be 0, equal 0. Here is 0, 0. Okay. In other sides, use this formula to calculate your the first to calculate the break-even point as the units. First, we needed the number 1. We needed to calculate first what about this contribution margin. I will start to calculate the contribution margin. What about for them? And here you will find that the difference between which is equal the price per unit, the price per unit or the sales price per unit minus the variable cost per unit as given. Here equal $40 minus $15 as given will be $25. Okay. According to this type of data here, we needed after calculating the contribution margin, so the break-even point. This means that we needed to calculate at this time the break-even point as units. Do you understand the meaning? As unit, which refers to the fixed cost over the contribution margin, which is equal, What about the fixed cost here, which is 60,000 according to this type given in the problem, over the contribution here, contribution margin, which is equal to $25. So the results will be 2,400 units. What's the conclusion for this type of data? Here, we said before that this type of break-even point has two axes, right? It has two axes. Okay. do you mean by this? We needed to understand what about this volume, the volume at the break-even point, by calculating the break-even point using units, and in the second time, break-even point as volumes, it means as units, and the second and the other types according to dollars, like this type of part. Okay, so according to this data given, we can calculate the break-even point as the units needed to produce without profits or loss, and then the break-even point here, the 66, okay, 0.66 as total cost equal the total revenue, which is equal 66.66. The subtraction will be equal here 0, no profits, no profit, no loss. Okay. So we can depend, according to this type of data, we can depend on what's needed for calculating the break-even point based as dollars and based on units according to this type of the figure again. Yes, now by calculating the break-even point as units, we can calculate these points, and according to this type of figure, we can calculate what about these intersection points between the total cost and the total revenue according to dollars, in case of we put line here. Okay, so this will be needed to understand what about the number of units needed here according to operation managers. He needs to understand what about the number of units will be reduced without loss of profits at this point, and what about what's the number of units will be reduced before reaching to this break-even point, and at what number of units after 2,000, like here, after 2,400 units here, we can produce, and each can produce more than 2,400 units under the profit loss, and this company will take decisions about the profits will be achieved after 2,400 units. Okay. Another one of these problems for this part also, in case of the data given, it's different, and we needed already to determine break-even point for taking decision about the number of machines needed to purchase. The main requirements, because the machines here is intensive capital. So the company needs to take this decision under accurate information, because it doesn't need to pay money more, because this will be according to the budget given for the production management. So here you needed to understand, according to this type of data, as a manager has the option of purchasing 1 or 2 or 3 machines. Which one of these type of machines will be better for purchasing? And the fixed cost and potential volumes are as follows. This type of information, which is different from what's given now. The first problems given now is only what about the break-even point calculated, and the break-even point, we need to understand what about the dollars can be achieved and what about the number of units can be achieved, because after this type of points, the profits will be. But here, we needed to understand another type of this type of data. We needed to measure what about this number of machines. And this type of problems, which is different from what's given from minutes, according to this type of data. And also the question was how many machines which department needed to purchase. This is have a certain type of data, but the last one for this problem is different, because the data given here is different from the first. According to this type of table, you will find that the number of machines here, yes, there are 3 options. Needed to choose one of them, to choose one to buy this machine, or to choose the second decision for buying 2 machines, or to choose the third decision, which is buying 3 machines. Okay, and the data given here is different. Total annual fixed cost. The total annual fixed cost for the first one, $9,600. For buying 2 machines, $15,000. For the third, for the third option, $20,000 will be needed. The third column here also given as a data given, corresponding range of output. It means that each one of these machines has a certain capacity, can produce from 2. Yeah, like here, number of machines. Machine number 1, yes, can produce from 0 to 300. This is the maximum number of units in case of buying, can be produced in case of buying 1 machine. And in case of buying 2 machines, this company can produce from 301 to 600 units. In case of the company can take actions about buying 3 machines, so this is 3 machines will be produced from 601 till 900. This is data will be under the corresponding range of outputs, or what about the number of units can be produced using 1 machine, 2 machines, or 3 machines. And then the question here is, if a projected annual demand, it means that this will be the forecasting annual demand needed, which is lying between 580 and 660 units. This is the planning. This is based on forecasting. This is based on data collecting from the markets, okay? And how many machines should the manager purchase? This type of data here will be different from the previous, because we will depend on the same concept, and the concept which is break-even point, but the different types of data will be needed. Here, I will start first to take this decision by presenting the data needed to calculate direct, okay, according to this type of data. In the first time we needed to calculate, yes, the break first, to find the solution for this problem. The first step here to calculate break-even point for each one of these decisions. In case of, yes, one machine. In case of buying 2 machines, okay, and in case of buying 3 machines, okay. So this is the 3 options given here. We needed to take actions about buying 1, buying 2, or buying 3. For taking this decision, we have to answer the first question here. Determine the break-even point for each range. Yeah, the break-even point. The break-even point here equal the original problem or the original equations here. The fixed cost, yes, the fixed cost over the price per unit minus the variable cost per unit minus, okay, all of them, yeah. The price per unit is the sales price per unit, it's the same, okay. By using this type of equation for the first one. What about the fixed cost for machine 1? The fixed cost for machine 1 will be 9,600, okay? Like here I will write 9,600 over, yeah, here there is data given, should be, okay? Maybe it's appeared in the second point. The variable cost per unit and the price per unit is given, okay? Please take care. And the price per unit and the variable cost per unit also is given, okay, here. Okay, and now we need to understand what about for each one of them. Okay, we will assume that 40 minus 10. What about this 40? 40 is the price per unit given, okay, and this 10 is the variable cost per unit, also it's given, okay, so all this data is given. Yeah, what about for the second? Here you will find that the division refers to the break-even point at 300 units. What about for the second? The second here is the annual fixed cost 15 for two types of machines, okay. I will divide 15,000 over the same 40 minus 10, it will be constant, okay, regardless of the number of machines. Yes, 40 minus 10 And here you will find that what about the results here, according to the data in the next page. Yes, what about the results? It will be, yes, at 500, okay. At 500 units, 500 units, okay. Equal 300 units. Okay, and what about for the third, for the 3 machines? You will find based on this type of data, yes, there is $20,000, yes, $20,000 according to this annual fixed cost, and this will be over the price per unit minus variable, like the previous 40 minus 10. So the results will be, I needed to understand here what's these total numbers. Okay, 600, yes, it will be 666.67 units. Okay, till now we needed to understand which one of these type of decisions we needed to take. My sons and daughters, take care about what about written down. Here we needed to understand, based on what we needed to take the decisions for buying 1, buying 2, or buying 3. Here inside this type of page, 3 types of data needed to be focused. The first one, which is number 1, the break-even point. Number 1 for each one of this option. The second, what about the projected annual demand? Take care. Okay, which is given. Okay, this is given. The break-even point calculated. Okay, right here. We are calculating the break-even point for the first, for 2 or for 3 machines. So the break-even point calculated, the projected annual demand is given like here, line between 580 till 660. Okay, units. What about for the third option, for the third factors? These 3 factors will be used to take the decisions, to take the decision, depend on the next 3 factors. Okay. To take the decision depend on the next 3 factors. What about these 3 factors? Number 1, the break-even point after calculated. Okay. What about the second, projected annual demand, which is given in the problem? The third one, which is corresponding range for each machine. Corresponding range of output. Okay, also it's given. Yeah, given. Okay. What happened here? Take care about this type of points. After based on these 3 dimensions, the first one, yes, I'm starting with calculating the break-even point for each one. Yes, this is 300. Yes, 300 here. Yeah. What about for the second? For the second is 500, like written here, 500 units. And this is for the third. Okay. Now I needed now to take the decision, we have to draw break-even point for each one of these 3 options. The first one, take care. Okay, assume that this will be break-even point. And what about the break-even point as quantity of units or units? Here equal 300 units. So I will assume that the first option, the break-even point as 300 units at this point, and yeah, calculating and found it will be 300. This means that till 300 units, okay, all this type of region will be under loss region. Okay, projected annual demand. This company needs to produce for the future time, according to forecasting the marketing demand, It needs to produce from 580 till 660. This is the projected, okay? And this type, this one of this projected demand. How big intelligent? Okay. This machine can produce only till the unit of 300. Okay. This means all the units produced according to the first machine is lying under the loss region, as we mentioned before, because the line of the total cost is above the line of the revenue. Okay, cost, revenue. Okay, and it can produce the maximum number of units can be produced according to one machine is 300. How we can take this decision for buying one machine in case of it's lower than the projected annual demand, and the maximum number of units can be produced only 300. So one decision it's not suitable for taking it, because all the units according to the corresponding range, according to the break-even point, according to the projected annual demand, so all the units will be used out of the projected demand, and all of the units will be reduced under the loss region. So the first will be out. We cannot choose the first option. So I will prepare the second break-even point for the second option again. What happened here? You will find that according to data given and according to these three types of factors, yes, the break-even point, okay, and this quantity here, this quantity as 500 units, okay, and then we needed to take the action about the second. What about the second option? The second option here, yes, this type of data refers to the break-even point will be at 500 units. So this means that before even 1 unit of 500 till units of 499 will be under the loss region. This is loss region. Okay. So what about this type of data? The second option is projected annual demand. The projected annual demand is lying between 580 till 660. This is projected. Okay, this is projected annual demand. Okay, and at the same time, what about the third? The third is corresponding range of output. Two machines can be produced from 300. Yes, from 0 till 600, okay? From zero, okay? To 600 here, 600 as corresponding range, okay? This means, 600. This means that this type of company can produce from 0 to 600, according to its capacity corresponding range. Okay, the quantity for its break-even point at 500. This means it can produce from 501 till 600 under profit region. You understand? And at the same time, at least it can produce from 500 till 600 according to projected annual demand. Do you understand the meaning? Yeah. According to this type of data, the break-even point here is 500 units. And this type of two machines can produce till 600, okay, as corresponding ranges. The blend projected is lying between 580 to 600. So according to this type of data, all the units will be produced from 501 till 600 as corresponding range will be under profit region. So this type of company already can produce part of the projected annual demand from 580 and 600. It can produce part of the annual demand forecasting. Okay, so maybe I will write here till I find the third option. Maybe can be chosen till now. Okay, what about for the third? The third option here I will make the third option. Okay, preparing the break-even point, the quantity, and here the break-even point, and here as dollars. And what happened here? You will find that according to this type of data, what's the break-even point here? The break-even point at unit 666.67 as the break-even point. This is the volume units. Okay. At the same time here, you will find that according to this type of data here, you will find, what's the first one, the break-even point calculated? Yes, and the unit of 666.67. The second is projected annual demand. The projected annual demand is lying between, is lying between projected, on hand lying between 580 till 660. Okay? Do you know what I mean here? All the projected annual demand is lying under the loss region. Why under the loss region? Because, the break-even point at 666. The break-even point at 666. But the projected annual demand is lying between 580 and 660. Do you understand? All these units as projected will be needed to produce in the next time, will be lying at the loss region before the break-even point. And at the same time, what about for the corresponding range output? This company can be starts from 0 till 900 units, corresponding range. Okay, yes, this company can start to produce profits after the unit of 666, yearly after 667 till, 667 till 900. Okay, and this is out of the projected demand. So no value for producing more in case of the projected on hand is lying before the break-even point. So the third one will be out of choosing. What happened now? According to this type of analysis, you will find that buying two machines maybe is better. Yeah, maybe better. Okay, maybe better. Yes, maybe better to take it because based on the three options here, according to this conclusion, based on the break-even point, based on the projected annual demand, which is lying here between the 580 till 660, all this range, okay? And two machines can be produced according to the corresponding range, can be produced till 600, okay? This means after 501 units can reduce till the unit of 600, all this range will be under the profits region, and we can produce part of the projected annual demand, which is lying between 580 till 600 units. According to this type of last point for this chapter now is finished, and you can read it well in case of you can turn back to the previous part of this chapter to differentiate between the first example for determining the number of machines needed and the last one of this page, the first two. Yes, we can use another type of data to calculate the number of machines also by using other information by depending on break even point. Assalamu alaikum.